Good afternoon, everybody. You're all welcome to Climatr Consults webinar session. And our theme for today is how to position your small businesses for funding. I want to welcome every one of you for sharing a part of your lunch hour with us, and we trust that it will be worth your while at the end of this session. Right. My name is Benjamin Chukwudi Udoku, and I am an associate consultant at Climatr Consult. Um, we believe in creating a business ecosystem where small, medium-sized enterprises like yourselves are the forefront of business sustainability and environmental stewardship. Right. Joining us today on this session is the principal consultant at Climatr in the name of Henry Ukoha, as well as three special guests who are going to, help us unravel and debunk the myth as to why some businesses has not been able to attract the right kind of funding. And more importantly, they are going to be sharing with us tips on not just how to attract funding, but the right kind of funding that is most suitable for your business venture. Right. So, why this webinar? We took up the initiative as Climatr as a result of the global economic disruption that has, been so evident uh, regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, this has disrupted the economic value chain as well as affected the welfare of SMEs right at the business corridors of Nigeria. Right, so we decided to pull up this webinar not just for that reason, but also the more recent happening where the End SARS peaceful protest that was held nationwide resulted into massive vandalization of business properties and assets. This event sort of left so many business owners high and dry, not sure how to rebrand, regrow, and reposition for resilience, right? So now, apart from these macro effects, we also have the micro effects that challenges the survival of SMEs in Nigeria. We have the issue of lack of access to competent staffing, right? Staffing or talent has ever been so difficult to acquire in Nigeria. Talents that can move business ventures from zero to one. It's either there's a lack of them or there is the high cost of acquiring or hiring such talent in Nigeria. Right. We also have the issue of supply chain disruption. This has become so evident as a result of the coronavirus. Sourcing for products in countries such as Dubai, China, has ever become so challenging, and even sourcing for products right here within the shores of Nigeria is still very much, you know, unattractive and unresponsive. So besides supply chain disruption, we also have the issue of the steady deduction of consumer buying power. Yes, if customers are indeed not able to purchase your products, then it basically challenges the survival of your business, right? The consumer buying power has witnessed steady deduction as a result of unemployment rates, retrenchment of staffs, and the labor force in general. And this is telling on the economy as to how businesses can continue to, stay in position to offer products and services if indeed customers are not able to purchase their products. But today, our focal point for today is access to funding. Yes, funding is the lifeline of any business, and we are here to tell you that indeed it is the lifeline of your business, but more importantly, we should be concerned about how to access this funding that has been made available to us through different schemes from the public to the private sector, right? So I'm going to be putting us through 5 types of funding that is most peculiar to SMEs right here in Nigeria, right? We have the loans, we have the grants, we have the crowdfunding, we have personal assets, as well as angel investments. So loans are best for good credits, no doubt. Being that you as a business venture, not an individual, you must have built a credible financial track record with your financial institution, which makes you eligible to access a particular amount of money to fund your ventures, right? We have the grants. Grants are free money where you get to receive capital or cash flow for nothing, basically. But now this is specific to niche markets or niche segments, So we see loans that are, that are given to farmers only. We see loans that are given to women only. We see loans that are given to, less performing or poorly performing businesses, or minorities. Yes. But they are free money in general. So we have the crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a type of funding where um, a group of like-minded individuals who share the same values, same interests, as well as the same goals come together to pool their resources together in this particular term, finance, to venture a business, to move a business forward. It could be for market testing opportunities or supporting of a venture, right? And an example of a crowdfunding is GoFundMe. Yes, it has become so popular in recent times. And we have the personal assets, which is your personal savings and your personal investment being plowed into your business. In other words, we call it bootstrapping, right? Where you get to use your personal funds to fund your business. Yes, it is debt free because it is your money. You're not owing any debt to it. And you're 100% in control of the fund and its uses. Now, unlike personal funding, we have the angel investment, where an individual approaches you to give you a certain sum of money in exchange for a percentage ownership in your business venture, right? You see angel investors come up to approach, risky ventures, right? Businesses that have been less established or that are less established, right? So, having discussed these five types of funding, I'm going to pass the baton over to Henry Hukoha, who's going to give us some sort of due diligence as to the three specific kind of funding that are most peculiar to SMEs at this current stage of the economy, right? And is also going to give you case studies as well as simulations of how to understand how funding works for your business, right? And after Henry takes you through that, our three special guests are going to attack three different types of funding. They're going to share with us from their experience and expertise the kind of funding that they have been accustomed to, and how SMEs can hop on that bandwagon to move their ventures forward, right? And after those three videos, um, we at Climatr, we understand that some of you will have more questions and will need help in structuring your businesses to attract any of these types of funding that our guest speakers would speak on. So we have made provisions at Climatr by creating a 30 minutes free consulting session. Follow the link attached to this email to book a 30 minutes free consultation with us today. Let's engage you. Let's structure your business properly, right? Just so you can access the right kind of funding. Okay. Thank you all for joining us today, and you're very welcome once again. Enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ben, for sharing with us, and thank you, everyone, for joining us on today's webinar. I would like to begin by reinforcing the fact that access to finance still remains a major component to successfully running a business venture. But irrespective of that, I also understand and I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who are trying to fundraise, pursue any kind of investment that they see. I think what's more important for us to understand is that not all funding and funding types or options out there is optimal for our businesses. Okay, so having said that, there is quite a number of reasons why businesses are unable to successfully attract the funding which they are going for, and a lot of those reasons majorly it's ranging from the poor business structure to the business readiness and so on. But from experience and what I've seen a couple of entrepreneurs do, I think understanding your business development stage is a critical component to increasing your chances of raising any funds. So why am I saying this? Why is this important? Each of the funding options that are available, be it loan, grant, or equity investment, they all have their own characteristic criteria to successfully attract those funds. So having a clear understanding as an entrepreneur, having a clear understanding of where your business or your venture is at any given point in time while trying to fundraise, actually increases your chances of attracting such fund. Now, reason being that if you have a clear understanding of where you are, of where your business is at any moment in time, it helps you pick out the right funding option for you. Then helps you also restructure and align your business to properly position your business to help you finally get that funding option which you're going for. So it's more or less kind of like helps ensure that you're not going for you're not just chasing any funding option out there just because you need money, right? I think fundraising is more strategic than just chasing any kind of funds that you see. So yeah, why is that important? So a typical example is that of a lady that approached us to help her determine if equity fundraising was the right option for her intended business growth. So after analysis, it turned out to be that equity fundraising wasn't the right option for her, but rather if she can bootstrapping the business, or making use of her personal assets to grow the business was a much more viable option for her as opposed to equity fundraising. So we were able to discover during our analysis that her current sales pipeline was able to provide her with the funds that she needs to grow the business just as she has projected. All right, so it turned out to be that she didn't have any need for outside money, right? Or neither was there any need for her to give out any part ownership of her business, in order to attract the funds that she needed. So yeah, having a clear understanding of where you are as a business, for me, I think is one important factor we need to always have in mind while trying to fundraise as an entrepreneur. It definitely will help us understand and pick out the right funding option for us and our businesses, and as well as help us prepare, which ultimately increases our chances of, of attracting those funds. So there are other factors too, but I think this is much more important ones, because every other factors I think is related to your understanding your business development stage. So the thing being that if you have a clear understanding of where you are and see that, okay, I'm trying to go for equity investment, why I'm still maybe at the idea stage, or maybe I have no traction yet to prove my business model and all that. I mean, going for equity investment is already a no-no. The kind of funding that you need at that stage is to go for fundings that could allow you to develop the products, run pilot tests, and of course build tractions, which would position you better to attract equity investment. So other options such as maybe grants would be a much more viable option, or in some cases, even using your personal assets can be also another option. So it's all depending on the kind of business you do, the how much you need to put in the business to make it happen. So that's why it's very important we understand at stage we are before we start going for any fundraising activities or so. So I'm more like speaking in general terms, and then but we have with us on today's webinar three special guests that will help us do more justice to each of these funding options that are available: equity investment, loans, and grants. So these special guests will be telling us more on how to properly position our business to attract each of these funding options that are available out there. I hope you get to watch the other videos that are attached to this as well. Thank you for being with us today. And
I create growth to profitability tech ventures, and then I sell them to international corporations that can breathe more fresh air into them. I've done that with two startups, and currently running my third startup, which is Publish here. It's a digital platform for African creatives to earn a living as full-time creatives. I'm excited to be here to talk to you guys about startup fundraising, or fundraising for your startup. So I'm believing that if you're watching this or you're listening to my voice, that means that you're an entrepreneur and you run a startup company, and you're trying to raise funding. Maybe it's seed funding, maybe it's post seed funding, like maybe Series A or Series B, whatever it is. You're trying to raise the next round or the first round. And today I'll be talking to you about tips, for fundraising. I'll be talking to you about the different ways to fundraise for your startup. I'll be talking to you about the different types of startup investments. how to draft our investment pitch deck, and yeah, typically that. So let's first start with the tips for fundraising. So the question is there a hack to fundraising? Is there a way to easily raise fund? And the answer is yes. There is a way to really easily raise fund, and I'll be talking to you about how these ways. The first way is to build relationships. So I always say that relationship building is crucial. That means that I know that it'll be difficult for introverts to actually relate to this because they love their space. They love to do things indoor. They like, they like working behind the computer, or they like sitting behind the device. And so the question is, how am I going to build relationships? How am I going to, go out and network with other individuals? But, why I say relationship building is really important is because you might not know the investor, personally, the investor that you want to invest in your startup. You might not know the investor personally. But if you go out, you put yourself out there, you go to events, you network, you see someone, you smile, you listen to what they do, and you just introduce what you do, there's a very huge chance that you end up knowing somebody that knows that investor. And most investors, when you reach out to them to, maybe like you send an email to them to get requesting if they can have a meeting with you to sit down and talk about your business and the prospect of investing in it, they usually try and do what they call due diligence. So they like trying to find out, about your startup from third party, from people who don't, that people that they know. And if there's a huge chance that they speak to a friend and say, oh, have you heard about this startup? And I say, yeah, I met the person, the founder, one of the founders at this event, and the founder was amazing. He was well cultured. He was brilliant. He spoke. He was an amazing person. There's a huge chance that you are going to get that investment because most investors don't invest in just the idea or the product or the revenue. They invest in the person, the people behind the business, because they know that there's at some point you might have to pivot if things don't work out well. You might have to iterate a couple of times, but if they believe in the team behind the business, they are going to put their money into it. So as an entrepreneur, you want to raise funds, it's good to put yourself out there. Try and network as much as possible. Try and meet people as much as possible. Talk to people about what you do. You should have a 5 minutes, 5 minute pitch. You should have a 10-minute pitch. You should have a 3-minute pitch, even a 1 minute or 14-word pitch about your business. So that you can use that 14-word pitch is an excellent way to speak to somebody quickly about what you do and why you're doing it and why you're excellent and why what you're doing is excellent. It's because when you stand in front of someone to tell, like, you just meet, hello, how you doing, and you're trying to introduce, they don't, many people don't really understand, don't really listen to you or your words that much. They don't even remember what you said, but what they always remember is the way you made them feel when you were speaking about your business. So for example, if you say we identify this problem and then we offered a solution to it. You say you offer a solution. You didn't make it. There was no passion in it. But if you said we discovered this problem and we offered the amazing or the perfect solution. Now you that's confidence. That's passion. That's what you're doing. You know what you're doing is worthwhile because you called it the perfect. Now there's a difference between A and D. D means it's the only, and then A means maybe one of of those out there. So when you speak into investors about your business, use the right words. That shows confidence that you know what you're doing. And use facts. Don't use cooked up data that you cooked up in your head. Use facts. You're trying to state a problem that exists. You use facts. You're trying to explain to them how big your market is. You use facts. You should use fact, like data that is available and is verifiable. So, and but no matter what you do or no matter what you say, written or verbally, make sure that they can see that passion in what you're doing. They can see that passion in your voice. They know from from the words you use that you are in this for the long run, that you're not leaving this business, that no matter what, you are in this business. That passion, if they can sense that passion in your words, there's a very huge chance that they're going to invest in you. And the fourth one is that you should try and follow up. So it's even in business. For example, you reach out to a customer and tell the customer, this is my business, this is what we offer you. there's a very huge chance that the first email or the first encounter with the customer will not convert. You need to keep, putting your product in their faces, right? Before it eventually converts. That's how investors are. You need to constantly remind them about that you exist. It might remind them that your startup, is there. Like in case they forget it, remind them. You can do like 3 follow-ups, and don't do 3 follow-ups in 3 days. That's just too much, within a short period of time. So you can do 3 follow-ups within 3 months. And make sure that when you're writing to them, a new follow-up email, make sure that you've achieved something new, something impressive, something amazing that you'd like to share with them, so that they can see progress. So the first email you wrote to them, you had your product already launched in the market, and you're already getting your your early customers. The second email, you explain to them, oh, we've crossed our 100 customer mark, and we've made a certain amount of revenue, and we're though we've not broken even, we are very close to breaking even. The third email is, hey, we just signed a partnership with one of the biggest stakeholder in the industry, and this is what it's going to do to our business. And then the fourth one is, oh, remember the partnership we spoke to you about? Okay, this is the progress so far. We've had 1,000 customers so far. We've broken even, and now we're pursuing the chances of becoming profitable. This kind of things makes them understand that these guys are they're serious about their business. And because I know of a friend that reached out to an investor, a certain investor, 5 times within 2 years. And then it was the 5th email that the investor wrote back and said, I think I love your journey so far. I would like to be part of this. So, you should understand, you should, don't when you send the first email and they're silent, don't think they didn't read it. Most of them read it. Don't think that they don't like what you're doing. No, they like it. But, you're not the first email that they receive, telling them that, they are doing something amazing. And you're not the first person pitching that same idea. So you'll be surprised that you're pitching an idea that they've heard before. I remember sometime last month, some guys were pitching to Color. Color, is like the founder of Ventures Platform Foundation, one of the biggest accelerators in Nigeria. And so they were pitching to him about off-campus student housing, a platform for off-campus student housing. And funny is that Color, has invested in a startup that does just exactly the same thing. And so he was excited to listen to them. And once they were done with the pitch, he asked them a question. He said, I have invested in a startup that does just this exact same thing, and I lost money, investing in this startup. Can your pitch didn't tell me anything different from what the guy told me, in the past. So can you tell me something that you're doing differently that he did, differently, from what he did, and how you're a better bet, and I wouldn't lose my money investing in you just the way I lost my money investing in them. So it's that's so, like I'm trying to explain to you, you're not the first person pitching the same idea. So you have to be like you have to show that uniqueness. Is it in the team? Is it in your market strategy? What makes you a better bet? And if they don't buy into the dream the first time, follow up. Be optimistic and follow up. And eventually, maybe even the 5th email, they might respond to you. Another one is that you should pre-qualify your investors. Investors are not the only people that do background check on you, like maybe go do some due diligence. You as an entrepreneur, you should do some background check on your investors before you reach out to them. Don't reach out to every investor that you hear of or you know about. It's sometimes when these investors read an email from an entrepreneur, and they know if the entrepreneur has done their homework. They know. And if you've not done your homework, that's a complete turn off to them. That shows that you're ill prepared, and that means that you're not even prepared for the journey ahead as an entrepreneur. So, for example, before you reach out to an investor, you should know one of these 3 things. One is that, are they interested in the sector that you are operating in? Have they invested in a startup in your sector? And how was the turnout for them? If the turnout was huge for them, there's a very huge chance that they are going to invest in you too. And the second one is that you have to know how much check do they cut? How much investment check do they cut? What's their maximum investment check cut? What's their minimum investment check cut? Then know this is my minimum investment requirement. This is how much I want. I want $500,000. Can they offer it, or is the $500,000 too small for them to offer? Are they more? Are they investing in $1 million investment, criteria, or are they, or is the $500,000 too big because they're investing in 25,000 to 100,000, and thousand in early stage startups? You need to know these things before you reach out to them. That will make them know that this guy did his homework or this woman did her homework. Now, the sixth one is that you should not run your business like raising fund is the main objective or is everything to you. And we know, you would know when it seems like raising fund is everything to you, because all you're thinking about is raising fund. You're not thinking about how to acquire the new customer. You're not thinking about how to reduce your churn rate. You're not thinking about your month-on-month growth rate. All you're thinking about is how you're going to get money from some investor and put it in your pocket. That's when you know that, okay, now raising capital is my main objective as a business. And employees working for such companies don't like it, because it shows that the entrepreneurs, the founders, are not excited about this business. The founders are not thinking about the long term. They just want to raise money, maybe eventually even go into thin air. So do not be just one of those entrepreneurs that raising capital is the main or the center objective of their business. Please don't do that. Then the seventh one is that focus. And as an entrepreneur, running a startup business, focus. When I say focus, I mean know where you want to go to. You currently know where you are, but you know the big picture. You have the big picture in your head. You know what you want to become. And because once you're speaking to an investor, they want to understand how big this startup can get. Maybe you started off as like Facebook started off as a social network for students, but eventually became opened up, became a social networking platform for everybody. Now Facebook is also used as a business tool and advertising. It's like Facebook is eventually used for almost everything: charting, staying in touch, sharing multimedia, news, everything. Facebook is even used for pools. So I'm sure that Mark knew exactly where he was going to, how big Facebook will eventually get. And so that's what you should do as an entrepreneur. You know that you're starting really small, and you know that your MVP is not your final product, but eventually how big you can get and how big this thing will become. If you're going to expand to new markets or newer verticals, and when you're going to do that, you should have all these things set. Because when you're reaching to an investor and you say, okay, this is what we are right now, but in the next 2 years, this is what we are going to become, and these are the steps we're going to do. We're going to take to get there. This is our part. This is how we're going to become profitable. This is the detailed plan on how we're going to break even, become profitable, maybe even exit the startup by getting acquired by a bigger organization, and that way the investor gets the money back. Or we are going to exit maybe by an IPO, and then what exactly what's the big plan? What's the big idea? What's the big picture? How big can this get? You need to understand, let them know that you have a focus, you have a vision about, about how big this can get, and you're not just thinking small term. Now, you should build your startup like you're writing a novel. You should build your startup like you're writing a movie. Like, for example, every good writer, when the writer is writing a book, they already know the end of the story. They know the end of the novel, but they know the beginning of how the novel will begin, how the novel will end. The question is, what's the plot? How will it get from here to here? So that's how you should also run your startup company. The beginning, that's where you are right now. You want the end. Maybe you want to go for an IPO. You want to get acquired by some big well-established company in the same industry. But the question is, how will that story be told? How will you get from here to here? That's what you should be asking, and you should write the journey like you're writing a novel. This is what we are going to do, and to get here. In case it doesn't work, these are the other plans we're going to take. This is what we're going to do. We're going to develop the product this way. We're going to increase our business models this way. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We expand to a new market today. We're going to expand to a new vertical tomorrow. how exactly you need to like write it like a story, and then this more like it forms like a roadmap. Because once you show an investor that this is your story, even if like, okay, this is where we are today, this is where we're going to be in the next in the nearest future, this is how we plan to do it, write it like a storybook. And then they understand that, okay, obviously this person knows the end point of of all this thing, and they have an idea of how they want to get it. Although it might not work the same way you thought about it, sometimes it can even work better, sometimes it might not work better at all. Sometimes it might work so badly that you would have to pivot a couple of times, but it shows that you have that dedication, that determination to see it through. If you can write the story even when even before it has happened. So build your company like you're writing a story, or you're writing a novel, or you're writing a screenplay for a movie. That's how you should also you build your company. And then the ninth one is that you should decide when you're trying to pitch to an investor if you want to sell metrics or you want to sell the vision. Now let me explain to you what selling vision and selling metrics look like. Most late stage startups or more mature stage startups sell metrics. And when you sell metrics, you're selling to them your data, what you've done. Like, for example, this is the cost we acquire a customer. This is how much the customer gives us during their entire lifetime with us. These are our month-to-month growth rate. This is our monthly recurring revenue. These are our annual recurring revenue. These are our churn rate. These are our burn rate. These are our run rate. This is how you have now. You're now using data metrics. You're now using structured metrics. These are things that you now know. And now when your investor can tell a lot about your business by looking at your metrics, your numbers. So some investors have invested in businesses by just looking at the metrics. Oh, this metrics is amazing. The month growth rate is as high as 36%. The churn rate is as low as 3%. Stuff like that. They're like, okay, I think this is what I want. This is the kind of business I want to jump upon. Or get in bed with. But most early stage startup or idea stage startup sell vision because they don't have metrics at that moment. So what you sell is to them is that, okay, this is where we are right now. We're going to build the product maybe in the next 2 months. We're going to do some alpha testing, some beta testing. We're going to launch to the public. We're going to you just tell them the story, what you see in the future, of your company, because it has not happened. So you don't have any concrete metric. Because if you're telling them, okay, these are CAC, but you've not acquired a single customer. So how do you know the cost, to acquire a customer? Or is this a speculative data? Are you extrapolating based on maybe what is already in the market? Stuff like that. So you should choose when you're talking to an investor if you want to sell metrics or you want to sell vision. And one important way to show them that to make an investor want to invest in your business is by showing them how a team of 2 or 3, maybe that's your team, right, can go against a team of 200 or 300, maybe a more established player in the same field. Because they're like, okay, you guys are only just 3 people in this business, and do you know that your competition has 300 people? How do you intend to go against these guys? You have to give them a very clear path in which you intend to do that. Once you can convince them by giving them a detailed path, there's a very huge chance they're going to invest in you. And the last one, the 10th one, is that you should practice your pitch over and over again. Someone should be able to wake you up and you can literally tell them about your business within 1 minute. Like, someone should be able to wake you up and say, hello, can you tell me about your business? And you tell them fluently what your business is, because you don't know as an entrepreneur who you're going to meet next. You might want to have you've always wanted to have a time with Dangote, and then fortunately, rather, you got into an elevator, and who did you see there? That was just Dangote, and you're like, what? And then you're given 1 minute from the floor to the ground floor to speak to him before he gets off the the elevator. What are you going to say? How are you going to teach your business? If you don't know what you can say, there's a very huge chance that that you don't know your business well enough. For example,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon. So I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Mojisola Peters. I work with Access Bank. I work out of the emerging businesses team. and loan product alongside the instant
I'm
business
coming.
loan. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go on.
Yes,
Go
please
ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I manage loan products alongside a digital business loan product called instant business loan. And the loan product is they're basically for SMEs and SMEs. So I'm just to delve right into it. I'm going to be giving you tips and issues that these, especially small businesses, face when they try to access funding in terms of loan. I'm going to be referencing the instant business loan product because it's a digital product that can be accessed on the QuickBooks app. So most of the criteria and tips I'm going to be mentioning are going to be referencing that product and what we have noticed over time managing that product in terms of businesses being able to access it. So I have listed 4 points that reduces customers, should I say, it limits their opportunity to be able to access digital loan products in the bank. And I'm speaking mainly for businesses because we have different loan products, digital loan products. We have the ones for individuals, the ones for businesses. I'm going to talk about the ones for businesses. So the first one of the major issue I'm going to be talking about is the fact that if you're trying to access a digital loan product as a business, if you're trying to access a digital loan product as a business, one of the first things that we are going to be looking out for is if the business is registered or not. So, hello, I'm catching like an interference.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So, like I was saying, you want to ensure that your business is registered. I know that for small businesses, you might be a bit reluctant to register your business from the get-go. If you are trying to get funding and you're trying to get loans from banks, yeah, and you are getting it on the premise of your business and not as an individual, it's very important to register your business. For digital loan products in Access Bank, the handshake between the business and the bank is very minimal, right? And for the bank to protect itself, they have released certain criteria that any business has to meet before they can actually access the loan. And that's majorly because of the way the handshake is very minimal. The customer can access the loan without with little or no recourse to the bank. So one of those criteria is your business must be registered. So if you're trying to position your business for funding, you want to register your business, even if you think that your business is not so, or my business is not so big, because we've had instances where the customer wants to access a loan. He has been operating his business for years, but he just registered his business last month. And then we are telling you that, okay, you have to register your business for at least 1 year. The business has to have been registered for at least 1 year before you can access a digital product. So we want to take that into consideration. You want to register your business. The second point I'm going to be talking about is the turnover, right? So one of the major criteria for profiling any business on our digital loan platform is turnover that customer does with that account. We've had instances where, or not just instances, but we have noticed a trend where customers have a particular account where they take loans, they receive their loan funding, and then they have another account where they receive their business proceedings. That is not really best practice when you are trying to position your business for a loan, because what the system does is that they evaluate your eligibility based on the account number that is provided. So if you are providing an account number, or your business is using an account, you're running a business with a particular account number, and you do not, your processes for your business do not go through that account and stuff like that, that can really hamper your chances of getting a digital loan, because bank don't have any other tool except this your turnover to be able to know if you can take a loan, number one, and if you access a loan. So I said, firstly, I said you have to register your business. Secondly, I said you have to make that whatever accounts you are running with the bank, your business proceedings are going into that account, because that is the only way, especially for a digital loan. Because I know that if you're going for a manual loan, right, you can bring your account statement from other banks and use to augment your turnover. But for digital loans, the system or the engine that works with that with that loan product does not have the ability to take your turnover from another bank to qualify your eligibility. And most times you don't even want to, because if you're going to be taking a digital loan, and these digital loans I'm talking about, they are collateral free. So if you're going to be taking a digital loan and the bank is not going to be having any support for it, the least the bank wants to affirm is that this customer actually gets his business proceedings into this a security or comfort for the bank. So you want to ensure that your things with your business are being are passed to that account. Then the other point I'm going to talk about is door checks. Door check, also bounce check or return check, whatever you want to call it. If you know as a business that your account is not going to respond for the check you are about to issue, do not do it. I know it's very easy to just issue a check and give it to a customer, so the customer leaves neck, and in your mind there are no implications for that. Trust me, when you want to get funding, that's when you know that those the habit of issuing checks that you know the account is not there to pay is actually a big deal. Like I said earlier, right? These digital loans, the handshake between the bank doesn't go to your business surroundings to know whether you are truly a business or there is that extra due diligence is not done. Where you put those due diligence in is in actually qualifying the character of that customer based on what we've seen from credit reports or what we've noticed, the activities we've noticed on that account. If you're in the habit of issuing dot checks, you want to cut that out. Because for digital loans, once you have, okay, take for example instant business loan. Once you have issued more than 2 return checks on that account, that automatically disqualifies a potential customer. We've had instances where we have had to turn the turnover was impressive, every other thing checked out, but that customer has issued more than two return checks on that account, and that automatically disqualifies that customer. So this return check is a very big deal. It's a very big deal. There are some products where once you've issued one return check, you can't even access that product because for the bank, it tells a lot about the character of the person that they're going to be extending a facility to. So you want to treat that. Then the spot is about credit report. So we have credit bureau companies where we get credit reports from. For our digital loans, we feed directly to the database of this credit bureau. So whatever is the report from for a particular customer is what feeds our own loan eligibility calculator and what determines if the customer is eligible or not. Credit bureau report can have return checks. That's not the one domiciled to the bank. So maybe you would think, I'm going to take a loan from this particular bank, but don't worry, I issued return checks to another bank. So that's where the credit bureau report comes in. If you have issued return checks on any account you've had attached to your BVN, even if the one within the bank, the in-house doesn't actually get it, the credit bureau report will actually take that into cognizance and would rule you out from being able to access a digital loan. Also, as a businessman or a businesswoman, you want to ensure that all the accounts that you have ever had is not overdrawn in any way. We've had instances where a particular customer could not get access to funding because her NYSC account was in debit. This is an account that she has forgotten totally about. She didn't even realize she does not have any she does not have a mobile app for that account. She does not even remember the account number or stuff like that. and her credit report was negative. And she was like, I'm not owing anybody. I've not taken a loan before. This is the first time I'm actually trying to take a loan. So what would have been the cause of this? So after further investigation, we found out that she has an overdrawn account, and that was actually her NYSC account. So you want to make sure that your account is not in debit across bank. And then the last one for the credit bureau is that you want that you are not owing any bank, even if it's maybe you are running your account as a business, but on your individual account you are taking a loan from a bank and you have not repaid any loan at all, payday loan, quick credit from GT Bank, any loan at all. If your credit report shows that you are owing a particular bank, and I mean owing, you are defaulting in terms of repayment, it can affect your chances of getting or accessing a digital loan. Generally, using Access Bank as a criteria. So those are the 4 points I have actually I'm actually going to talk about. I hope that with these few points of mine, you guys can adhere to it and better position yourself to access. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mojisola, for sharing with us. Really appreciate that. Without further ado, I'd like to invite our I call it, this is supposed to be the last speaker, but she had some glitch. So I would like to invite our third speaker, Tochukwu. Tochukwu is the branch manager at NISA Microfinance Bank, and he'll share with us how to position our businesses to attract the funding, the financial loans that are available at NISA Bank. Okay, over to you, Tochukwu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, okay. Tochukwu Akuna, branch manager, NISA Microfinance Bank, Onitsha branch. We are operating from Onitsha here. And I'll have to be taking you through the reasons, or I should call it 4 points, 5 points actually, through which prospective applicants can successfully go through if they're seeking for a loan to push their businesses. Other speakers have actually, enumerated how or why businesses can't access loans. So I won't be delving into that. I'll just straight up go into how you can access federal loans, because we deal with federal loans from time to time. So inability to access the loans. First point is bias against federal loans. That is what we give. We give federal loans. But right now, majority of people accessing federal loans in Nigeria are mostly from the north. 50% are from the north. The rest of them are southwest, and south-south. Now, southeast, predominantly, they have this bias against federal loans. Anything, if you mention this is from the federal government, there's this already inbuilt bias against federalism. So Southeasterners keep losing out, from these opportunities that are presented by CBN, by some, ministries. So it's for businesses to keep themselves abreast of what is happening, at the central government, because there are a lot of policies. And going into 2021, the CBN is going into overdrive. There will be a lot of schemes. A lot of schemes will be, shelved out of the CBN shelves. Currently they are developing a lot of policies to drive a lot of subsectors. So it's for businesses to start keeping them, to start keeping themselves abreast. Follow CBN, follow a lot of ministries. So when these opportunities come out, you can better key yourself into. The second point is understanding what NISA Microfinance Bank is. When we came on board last year, when a lot of people heard about NISA Microfinance Bank, they start equating NISA Microfinance Bank with these community microfinance banks, right? And so it made them, we had a bit of difficulty penetrating the market, right? So Federal NISA Microfinance Bank is a subsidiary of the CBN, right? So that's why we are a paying vessel, so to say, for CBN loans. For some CBN loans, not all CBN loans. For some CBN loans, we are just like a paying vessel. So hand in hand, we work with the CBN. So right. So understanding what NISA stands for will help a lot of small businesses to key in. Now, NISA Microfinance Bank is owned by 3 agencies. The first is Bankers Committee. They own 75% of us. Bankers Committee is the umbrella body for all the commercial banks in Nigeria today. Our second owner is NISA PLC. Now, NISA PLC is a federal funded agency. They operate specifically in the agricultural sector. They own 15% of us. Now, the third factor in the matrix is NIPOST. NIPOST, you all know what NIPOST is. They own 10% of us. So these 3 bodies were joined together by CBN to create NISA Microfinance Bank. So NISA Microfinance Bank is a public-private initiative. It's a national microfinance bank. Right. And so what products can small businesses benefit from us? We have our flagship product, which we call AGSMES, AGSMEIS, Agribusiness Small and Medium Scale Enterprises Investment Scheme. That's our flagship product. And this is a product carefully designed by CBN to drive small and medium scale enterprises. When you look at the name, Agribusiness, Small and Medium Scale Enterprises Investment Scheme. So CBN is using this loan scheme to drive growth in the agricultural sector. Agribusiness covers agriculture, covers crop farming, covers animal husbandry, covers agribusiness processing, right? Not everybody will go to the farm to farm. Not everybody will rear chicken or rear goat. There are categories that are into agri processing, right? So CBN wants to cover everything concerning agriculture with this loan. And then they want to cover small and medium scale enterprises too. If you're into production, if you're into manufacturing, if you're into, if you're an artisan, tailors, mechanics, bricklayers, name them. Right from inception, we have given more than 50 billion. As a branch myself, as a branch here, we've given more than 300 million. All right, and we've had success stories. So it is for small and medium scale enterprises to come closer to the central government. When I mean central government, I mean federal government. Come closer, explore the opportunities that are there, and in particular, explore AGSMES and know how AGSMES can benefit you. We've had success stories here in Onitsha alone. Right from last year, between last year and this year, we've created more than 1,000 jobs. Right, so it is left for small businesses, key in and apply accordingly. So the third point is understanding how to apply. How do you apply? First of all, to apply for this AGSMES, AGSMEIS by the CBN, to apply for it, the applicant must go through a training process. Now the CBN